Up next, Sterling, Stabile, Talking Horses.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. As we start, would this be week number 4?
I believe it's week number 5, Andy. I believe we're starting week number 5.
Sounds right.
We came here September 15th.
That sounds right. Yeah, I was thinking it was a week earlier in October. It's so hard to keep track of the days. He's Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Sterling. And it looks like
the guy that sits next to Andy. I'm the guy that sits next to Andy.
Right. The rain has held off. It's the weather report has it hitting us in the late afternoon. Feels like we're good for the first couple races in the turf, a little iffy for the other ones, but I think a reasonable chance that we'll be okay. But we'll play it by ear, throw out some off-the-turf picks in the races as we go along. But you need to head over to NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, no better time than the present to join. Use the promo code MATCH200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit. Play through NYRA Bets. Keep the money in the game.
Please keep the money in the game.
We have a match with Delaware. So if you've got 75 on Delaware and Bell Aqueduct, and you opt in each, we get a $15 bonus. We have the contest, weekly contest. You have until 5 o'clock. Is that like heat noises? Because it's hot enough in here, isn't it?
I was saying, Kyle and I were talking about this. It's a little humid out today.
Why is
yes,
there,
I don't have
mid
an
to high
answer
60s.
to you, sir.
Why would we?
I don't know.
Pipes going. Anyway, what happened to the contest slate, guys? You get distracted?
Yeah.
There we go. Saturday contest. You have to do it on Friday. We'll seed the pool with $2,000. You have until 5 o'clock tomorrow. Head over to NYRA.com/contests for more information.
Online only.
Correct. And 12:32.5 FS2 for all the action today. Race number 1. Take a look at the horse you have on top, and I have second in traffic, finishing second to Tweaked. And you can tell us why you like this horse.
Yeah, I mean, the source hasn't been seen for about 10 months. Finished behind another first-time starter in here, so a race that was not, listen, the two of them did not.
So you tell us why you don't like her. Why do you like her?
Well, I wanted an alternative to Free Chickens, who we haven't seen for a while. And after a couple of decent dirt races for Free Chickens, you just go to the turf. So I just wanted the alternative. Rudy's horses are running a bit better than they were in Saratoga. And
I think the reason to like this horse is you think this horse will be forward and figures, depending unless arduously gets an excessively aggressive ride. It's an odd stat for Rudy. 6 to 12 month layoffs, the maidens and dirt sprints, he's 6 for 11. It feels a bit random. His numbers are not nearly as good just generally with dirt sprinters, but he has good numbers when they're maidens. We'll see if it's just random, but feels like the second likeliest winner on paper. No issue with that. As far as Free Chickens, it feels as though, like so many connections, they sort of misread this horse and ran the horse in the wrong surface. I'm not sure why they were so sure this horse wanted the turf. Because the dirt races were absolutely fine back in June, the last time the horse ran, has recency. It just seemed like the logical horse dropping into a spot. Nothing clever for me here. They were the two horses here. I guess Big Bean Christine gets a trainer change. She's not totally impossible on the outside. But the 7 and 2 do appear to be the two most likely winners in this spot by far. Race number 2. We're going a flat mile, and we'll show you Fun While It Lasted, the horse that you have on top. This was at Parks, 3 starts back, and this was the last race on the dirt, an off-the-turf race. And why don't you let us know why you like this
Never
horse?
ran in an intended dirt race. In fact, the other dirt race was an off-the-turf race. She won by almost 10 lengths at Laurel back in April. To me, there was not a lot of positive dirt form in here. And just landing on a horse who, again, you know, I know she's run a couple of good figs, especially earlier on in her career for different connections, but I'm not so sure, Andy. She might not be a little bit better on the dirt. I mean, she has one or two turf figs that are better, but is she really a turf horse? She hasn't had that much consistency on the grass. I think she might just be better on the dirt, and she gets a chance in here to try an intended dirt race for the first time. She's another one. I mean, I would imagine. There'll be not that there's going to be a lot of pace in here, but I think there'll be enough in her to take a little bit of a run
There's
in
not
here.
going to be any pace in here.
Well, I would imagine Valerian coming off
Once
the
again,
layoff.
there's not going to be any pace in here. Don't say you like her as a pace. She's going to be sitting second, a slow pace. So the pace works in her favor as a slow pace. That was a horrendous field that we showed at Parks. I mean, just an awful field. I disagree with you that she's better on the dirt than she is on the turf. I think she's probably able to handle the dirt, and in a field like this that's exceptionally weak, it makes her the horse to beat. I have a problem with that, but she's not better on the dirt. She just found herself in a field where you don't need to be better. I mean, Valorand, who you have second, found some stats for Rob Atras for what it's worth. Trainer switches on the dirt. He's 14 for 74, 19%, $1.21. So the horses that have been switched to Rob have not done particularly well, while his claims have done much better. And for what it's worth, on trainer switches on the dirt for Rob, first time for a tag, 0 for 11.
Wow.
And they were short prices. So sort of some negative stats with this horse, but obviously a horse that has that one dirt race that's good enough. The rest of them, though, unfortunately, are absolutely atrocious. So you're kind of hoping for this horse, if you play her, she gets back to the one time she ran on the dirt. So the question is there anybody on the dirt that's interesting? And I think there is, and that's My Sweet Wife. A horse who might have moved up if it rained because she's run well on wet tracks, but she's also run very well on dry tracks. And she actually ran extremely well on September 3rd, 2020, on 7 furlongs on a dry track at Saratoga. She got a 78 Beyer and was very impressive, winning a maiden race. Obviously, her form has declined, but I think there's a lot of reasons to believe that her last race is much, much better than it looks on paper. She kind of bobbled a little bit at the start, nothing major, but it put her out of position, and she spent the entire race glued to the rail. And I think there's a reasonable question that was a day, one of those days you get in Saratoga, where the 2-path, 3-path are fine, and the rail is just awful. And I think there's a reasonable chance that rail was not good that day, and she was absolutely glued to the rail. So I'm willing to give her a break for that race, and she has dirt races that are good enough, and as you say, it's not much going on in this field.
No.
And I get Fun While You Lasted winning, but I think My Sweet Wife has some things to like about her at a slightly better price. Race number 3, assuming we are on the turf, pretty unlikely this one would be rained off, if any of them. And I think the horse to beat is Cafe Fleur, who you and I both have second. We'll take a look at her last race. Any notions, any thoughts in this race?
What do you mean by
Show you
no?
the start. She did get steady a little bit at the start, but she's a horse that was never going to be close anyway, so I don't really think this was any consequence in here. It didn't really take her out of the race.
She just has no speed.
She has no speed.
Early on. Correct. And, you know, I don't there are some horses that and obviously this is a little bit of a generic statement, but it doesn't matter what level they run at. They're just going to do the same thing. And she kind of does the same thing. She just sucks back there, and she comes with some sort of a run. And I think that comment dresses up her last race a little bit, right? I mean,
well, it
I think
only
you and I
if
both
people
agree
are
it didn't
lazy and
affect-
don't watch
It didn't
replays.
really affect the outcome.
No, she hung badly in
Yeah.
this race. And she fits in here.
Yeah.
This is a race that on paper has absolutely no speed whatsoever. And I think it's going to help a horse like Kemba, who obviously didn't beat much horse last time. And we saw her lose to Princess Pinky in the race we're going to watch here. But keep in mind, in this race that she lost to Princess Pinky, she wasn't able
wasn't
to get
on
the
the
lead.
lead.
And in this race, she's supposed to get the lead.
She actually got a good ride from Dylan this day. After stumbling at the start, she made a little bit of a run, and she passed horses. You know, she passed a considerable amount of
terrible
horses.
field.
It was a terrible field, but she at
Terrible
least
field.
showed that she was able to pass
It was
some
a
horses.
terrible, without winning.
But in this race, I mean,
Well, Vargas is going to go
Yeah.
because that's what he does. I mean, Princess Pinky, you have to think Gomez is going to be relatively close with her. We'll see how aggressive Kendrick is with Voice of Spring. But none of these horses have so much speed that it takes to be a good pace. The problem I have with all these horses is, and listen, you don't have them anywhere in here either. I don't think they're very good.
me either.
And so for me,
I'm Buzzy came back to win an off-the-turf dirt sprint on
they're
Friday.
just bad horses.
Yeah.
I think a horse like Entwine on the drop down is very, very dangerous in
Yeah.
this race. She is. I mean, the last time
Last
we
time she
saw
ran
her
for a
in New
tag,
York-
she won.
The last time she ran in New York, she lost Community Adjusted, who would be 1-9 in here, and she lost last time the horse came back from the stake, and she didn't get the best of trips behind a very, very slow pace that day. So Steve's dangerous. Cafe Fleur is dangerous. Why do you like Be Up?
I wanted a horse with the notion of Kemba being the speed in here. I feel like Be Up could be close enough with a lack of speed in here that Be Up will have the jump on horses like Entwine, like Cape Fleur, and I thought the Cafe Fleur, I should say. I'm sorry. I thought it would be enough. I mean, look, I don't love the fact that she hasn't run almost a year, 10.5 months, but she's dropping back in for a tag. She broke her maiden for a tag, so it's not like this is necessarily a real drop.
One of the things that I liked was the layoff here. And as we look at Jonathan Thomas's stats, he has very good numbers off of layoffs. He's 6 for 25 for what it is, 250-plus day layoffs in turf routes. So actually, they often do seem to come back running. I think the board will tell you. You usually know when Jonathan Thomas is live because they get bet. When they're underlays, they do well. When they're overlays, they rarely show up. I think she's dangerous, but I would use Entwine as well. I kind of looked more, and I thought maybe I could have put her on top. But Be Up is the one. Obviously, Cafe Fleur can win. But
Entwine's just really slow early, too. And I think this race is going to be, it kind of cripples horses like Cafe Fleur and like Entwine. And I mean, you'd imagine Manny's going to be a little bit aggressive, would Be Up and be close.
We'll see. At the end of the day, it might just be the best horses are horses like the 3, 4, and 7. It may not matter that much with the paces. Race number 4 kicks off the pick 6. Big scratch in here where Hometown came out. What'd you do in here?
I went to Rudy. First time Rudy Charger.
He's been in such great form.
Listen, he's been in terrible form, but this is another one of those races where there's not a ton of positive form to go off of in here, especially recently. So I landed on Rudy off the claim. This horse runs well enough has run well enough in his career to get the job done in here. And figure with Jose Gomez coming out of the sprints, he'll be close. If not, I mean, he could probably be on the front end if he wants or sitting off a spectator list.
In front, unless his rider falls off.
But yeah, I mean,
Spectator is actually not impossible here. I could have put him higher in here. I'm not sure how you leave him out of the whole thing. I finally, and I agree, it's a terrible field. I took Convertible Freeze in here, who really had some trip last time. I want to show the first 3/8 of his race, because he doesn't break that well in here, and not that badly, but he's back here, and it's not like he scooted through on the inside. I don't know exactly what happened. He kind of ran off a little bit on Jose Ortiz. You see him forcing out the gray horse right there, and he rushes up towards the pace, and he's going to get even farther and farther closer to the pace. He's going to be right on top of the lead, and this was a race that essentially fell apart. The big gray came from way, way back, and you look at Willie Sutton, the number 2 in this race, who naturally fell into the pace. And he came back, albeit off the claim, but he came by his claim from Robbie Falcone. It's not like he was claimed by somebody who doesn't win. And he improved 18 buyer points after being on the pace in here. And Convertible Freeze was not only on the pace, he stuck around, and he actually was, if you bet him last time, you wanted to throw up. He was so much the best. And he really just sort of had a ridiculous, weird trip early. And I thought, it just showed that maybe he's finding his form again. Now, he's no killer by any stretch, but I can't pick Charger on top. I actually had him 3rd behind Hometown. I mean, I suppose the entry's dangerous, but I hate entries, and I don't know. Randy is good off the claim with Umbria, but that horse was just ridiculously slow against a horrifically bad field. Spectator list could wire the field, but I'm not particularly interested in that horse, and I guess Al's Prince isn't impossible, but I think the Convertible Freeze is very interesting off of his last race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the fact that he was claimed for the 35 and then it was a double drop last time.
Doesn't matter. He ran the race he ran last time. What does it matter where he double dropped? Now he's moving him up, so that should be good. The reality is he ran a race last time that would make him very dangerous in here, and his price is going to be okay. Believe me, I'm not thrilled with this horse. I'm not thrilled with this race, and I'm sorry Hometown came out because he seemed like a fairly dubious favorite. Race number 5. Before we show any replays, why don't you talk about your top selection, same as mine, listen to the music.
Apparently after the race, there was after the show, there was a push on this horse last time.
Okay.
And
that's why you like it.
I like the fact that he kind of lost his position early on, and then he kind of rushed up's the wrong term, but kind of found himself having to do a little bit more early than I think he may have had to after the break. And I don't know, I wanted to give him one more chance.
Yeah, I would actually consider Rush Up the right way to put it, and we'll take a look at it and sort of show it to you what exactly happened. We'll start out with the head-on, and then we'll show the first quarter mile of the race. It's the number 4 here. He causes his own problems. He comes out and sort of causes himself to get left, and as we show the pan, he's going to break a length plus slow in this race, and that's going to really affect him. And when you think about the fact that this race had a pretty strong pace, and he took himself out of the start, and I'm going to disagree. I think he does rush up. You see the rider is asking him a lot. Clearly, Louis Saez wanted to be forward with him. And I'll tell you something, for a horse that finds himself 3-4 lengths behind in a pace that basically fell apart, the horse who won sat 4th, came back and ran a respectable race in a 5-horse photo in the stake. This horse used a lot of energy, and if he can find a way to break cleanly, I mean, he's going to be in front in this race.
He's supposed to be in front for anything, yes.
I don't think he ran badly at all when you consider the break and the pace and what he had to do. So I actually thought he ran very well in that race, and he seems sort of logical. And the other thing is, like, where else are you supposed to go in this race? I mean, I tried to make a case for Chiringo, the 1, and I put the horse 3rd. This horse get bumped in the start and did end up breaking about 2.5 to 3/4 slow. But Javier gave this horse a very good ride afterwards, and he really tried hard. He just didn't do a lot of running.
I don't love that race either.
No, I don't think it's a particularly strong race he comes out of. I don't see any turf pedigree for Marty's Magic. I guess there's a little in the second family, and maybe not this time, but that horse has done a minimal amount of running. That'll be better on the dirt.
Bottom Colt, we both have second. Dan was 2 for 4 on the grass, 6 for 13 overall, won a turf sprint stakes race. I mean, but
it's an odd pedigree. They spent a lot of money for this horse, and I don't quite get it because it's now with Spendthrift. Does this mean this horse sold for $450? And how does this horse bred by Spendthrift and ends up with?
Is it a buyback?
Well, it wouldn't list the sale price was an RMA, would it?
No, it shouldn't.
Right. So I don't know what the story is that Spendthrift ends up with this horse and Into Mischief, and I don't know if they I don't remember if they were involved with Silverette, who ran. The horse has pedigree and Todd's numbers for what it's worth. 2-year-old first-time starters in turf sprints. He's 8 for 44. Did I put this? Did I?
Yeah, you did.
There it is. Yeah, $1.28 ROI. At 6 furlongs, he's 3 for 17. So the numbers really aren't that good, which just more or less suggests the horses Todd runs in these races often aren't that good.
But it's like you said, where else are you really supposed to go? And we both put 3-0, the number 4, in the mix, and he comes out of a series of the restricted races.
Right, but I don't think he ran that badly last time out.
No.
And he's got some speed, and turf races aren't terrible.
Yeah, fresh
but I agree.
He's run a lot.
I mean, the strength of this race was probably in the also eligibles, but they didn't get in. That's the first 5. We'll be back with the second half of the card in just a moment.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Oh, we want to thank our wonderful sponsors at Saratoga Spring Water. We appreciate the bottles of spring water that haven't been sent to us. But anyway, thank you so much to Saratoga Spring Water for sponsoring Talking Horses. Race number 6, as we kick off the late pick 4 in race number 6. We'll take a look at Freudian, a race at Gulfstream Park, 2 races back when he won. And did you pick him on top?
I had to.
Yeah, he's
really
a pretty
didn't want
terrible
to.
horse to take at a short price, but I certainly could see him winning. Problem is, you're talking about a horse that's lost at some very short price, including 1 to 5 in the past, with 5 seconds, and I have no confidence at all. The horse that this horse beat in this race is not very good. I don't know. I suppose this is the horse to beat because the field's kind of in shambles, but this is a tough horse to take by default.
I couldn't pick anybody else. Believe me, I tried.
Well, you could have. You decided not to.
I could not, with a clear conscience, do it. Couldn't do it. I mean, one of his last 2 races.
The conscience is bothering you now?
One of his last 2 races, you're going to win this race.
Maybe.
Even this.
Not sure the last race.
Where?
Not sure the last race.
Who's gonna beat him off the last race?
I like Predetermined in here. I think if you look at Predetermined, the race that horse run, that horse has been against the track in some races. The May 27th race was a big inside bias. Horse was chasing outside. Baba was able to run off. Those are much better horses. Then they tried the turf. I think Predetermined actually makes a lot of sense in this race. I think other than the race 2 back that we show with Freudian, these races are decidedly unspectacular. And I think a horse like Predetermined makes a certain amount of sense. I don't think that Sweeter is totally impossible. Probably didn't really have a chance coming off the layoff last time, a 10-month layoff. Has some races that are within hunting distance of the others. So I could use some other horses in here, but I think Predetermined is a horse that can beat him. And I think with horses like Freudian, who, listen, he's the horse to beat. She's the horse to beat, excuse me. I'm not going to be shocked when she wins, but I don't know. Do you really need her at a short price? I don't. So
I just couldn't make a good enough case for Predetermined.
Race number 7. Speaking of short prices, we have Tough Street, who lost to a far weaker half of the entry in Jet Set Juliet. Make no mistake, this entry was 1-2 last time because of the presence of Tough Street. And she may win here, but I'll tell you something, as we show her last race, this field is significantly better than the one she ran against last time. Because there is at least a number of interesting horses here. That last race, there was nothing.
Nothing happening.
And this was a terrible, terrible bunch last time, right?
Yeah, Jet Set Juliet, Peter.
Right. Take a look at the PPs of her entry mate that won the race before you go hog wild.
Now,
for
this
her.
one I couldn't take.
Well, she can win, but
Of course she can win. But this one was a tough pill. This one will be a tough pill to swallow
I
with
just
4
think
to
there's
5.
possible other horses. You've taken Uptown Express.
Yeah, drop down all the way to the bottom. We'll see what happens with the weather, but I was assuming a fast track for the first time. I just took the drop down.
What does it matter, a fast track or wet track?
Well, this horse did too much running last time.
So what? But you like because of the drop down, so what do you care that it was wet?
Yeah.
The drop down's the reason to like the horse.
Yeah, it's the only-
horse is
I mean-
fine. I mean, I thought the horse was a little interesting. That was a race that was one wire to wire. There wasn't a ton of movement, though I think there was one horse that made a little bit of a run. I have no issue with that horse. Thought the horse was very, very logical. I'm not always big on these horses running on the turf, but I'll tell you something. You look at the dam side of Queen of Lies, and I know that her sire is obviously a European turf horse, but, I mean, it's nothing but dirt. Mm-hmm. Nothing but dirt. I think this horse, this horse is a half to a horse that was second, the Best Pal. I think that horse was a Bolt Doro. It must be a 2-year-old this year. There's nothing but dirt, and good dirt on the dam side of Bernardini Dam. So on the drop down, and it's only, keep in mind, the third time for Tony Dutrow. I don't know why this horse was favored last time. It was a race that fell apart, actually, in her last start. I just think the Queen of Lies probably favored because she could make a lead in the inside bias. I just think there's a chance this horse might be a dirt horse. So I'm going to take her as a bit of a fuzzy in here. I guess Tough Street can win. I thought that the 10, Rosie Byrne, a little bit interesting for Michelle Giangiulio. The first time this horse ran in the dirt, lost to Sister Linda, who at that time was in pretty good form. And Royal Currency, who was second, has usually run much, much bigger figures than the one that she ran that day. And I'm not sure this horse should have been on the dirt all along. The turf races were terrible. This is the right surface here. So I'm very much think this race is an open race, and I'm going to use a whole bunch in here.
Okay.
Race number 8.
The Ocho.
It's a tricky race, I thought. And we'll start with Call Me Harry. I see Call Me Harry might be able to do this again. My feeling is that he was able to absolutely waltz around the racetrack last time out. And I get arguably it's not a tougher field today, but I think this horse was just gifted the race last time. And I don't really trust that this is a turf router. And I think he was handed the race on a silver platter and thought while he could win, I wanted to play against him.
Agreed. Able to just control an absolutely dawdling pace last time. Yeah, I didn't want him either. I don't have him anywhere. He's going to be 5. He's really going to be the favorite in here?
Well, he just ran a 91 buyer. What price is he going to be?
I guess.
Well, I don't know. So, why do you like Straw to go? We'll hold off on
I
that.
was flipped. I was a coin flip between Click of That, and I knew you were going to pick Click of That.
No, I actually didn't. But anyway, go ahead. You don't know who I was going to pick. But anyway, go ahead.
Say that again.
I didn't pick Klickitat.
Well, you made a big story about him last time, so I just figured you were going to pick him.
No, I didn't. But that's why I picked lots of horses. I actually picked Straw in the Gold. I switched because I didn't want the same picks as you.
Oh.
So you were wrong.
So Straw into Gold, I don't think like Saratoga.
Stop.
I don't.
The reason to like Straw in the Gold is
he
he
had
was
one
three
good
wide.
race in Saratoga.
He doesn't have particularly good races down here either.
They're better.
Actually, you're just completely wrong because this horse actually ran fine last time. He was 3 wide against
he
the
was
Gold
wide.
Rail.
I understand he ran fine.
Well, then he ran a 78 Beyer while he was 3 wide against the track, so that cost him 3-4 lengths. So he ran a mid-80s Beyer. That's what he runs all the time. So saying he doesn't like Saratoga is nonsensical. It's just not. He runs the same races. He ran the same race two back.
I don't think he prefers it up there.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. Did you ask him?
No.
The reason to
I
like
didn't
him
get a
is he
chance
was
to get over
wide
there.
against the Gold Rail last time.
That's your reason. That's your reason to like
Well, that's the reason anybody that actually bets their money and occasionally wins does. The bottom line is this horse is a phony. He doesn't win. He gets good trips and doesn't win, but he is a little bit dirtied up by getting a bad trip. Surmising like you have a crystal ball and he told you he doesn't like Saratoga is just silly. I mean, he
I
ran.
didn't say he told me he didn't like Saratoga.
It's
Don't
just
put
silly,
words in my
but there's
mouth.
no evidence that he doesn't like Saratoga. He ran. He was
I think
against.
his races out. I think his races.
I think he has 7 legs, and it's going to make him faster than the
Okay.
others. And that's why I like him. Can't we just stick to stuff that happened, though, that's definable, rather than I don't think he likes Saratoga? He was 3 wide against the Gold Rail when nobody was running it with 3 wide trips. Everybody with 3 wide trips was running terribly. He didn't even run that badly. He didn't even run that
I'm
badly
not
against
saying
the
that
track.
he didn't have a trip last time. I'm just saying I don't think he likes it up there. His form. He's been off the board 4 times in his life. They were all at Saratoga. He's hit the
He
board
didn't
in all
get- he
7
didn't
of his
get-
other
so
starts.
he didn't get the same
he got
gold
the same
trips
trip
he got
every-
in those
He got a
races.
bad trip every time he went to Saratoga.
You think that horses, where they finish,
No, I don't
is
think
more
that. No, I
important?
don't
Yes,
think
you do.
that. No, I don't.
You do.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I don't know which argument to believe. Okay, he can win. I thought he was against the track. You don't think he likes Saratoga. Click Attack. We'll show his race. He actually beat Straw into Gold in this race, and Straw into Gold had a perfect trip, and he didn't get up there. I don't know what to do with Click Attack. Linda does not have great numbers stretching out in the turf, but the thing is, probably a lot of those are more sprint types, whereas this horse has run well going long. I don't totally trust this horse. The problem is, I don't like Call Me Harry. I don't like Catch That Party, who's beating inferior horses with very good trips. I don't think Frontline Dancer can win. So it only leaves me with 3 horses. Now, believe me, I gave a lot of thought to putting Saratoga Flash on top in this race, and we'll show his last race when we're done with this, because this horse ran last time. And Tally Lynch has made some terrific claims. She's 0 for 3 off the claim on turf, but she's 0 for 3. They were all huge prices. This horse is not going to be a huge price.
And isn't he supposed to be in front?
What?
Isn't he supposed to be in front?
No, Call Me Harry's going to be in front. Like, assuming he's going to stumble at the start and throw Javi?
I'm assuming that somebody's going to go.
Yeah, Call Me Harry. He could be sitting second, but he's not going to be in front. He can't be in front of Call Me Harry unless that horse fails to get out of the gate. Call Me Harry has sprint speed. He's been ridden moronically in a number of his races, but he's actually a sprinter with speed. He's not going to have to go 25. He's going to have to go a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I think Saratoga Flash makes a lot of sense in this race. He's kind of the fuzzy because, for me, there's just almost nowhere to go. Because if Catch That Party or Frontline Dancer win, I'm going to lose, and I want to bet against Call Me Harry. Now, maybe Call Me Harry wins this race. I wouldn't leave him out, but, I mean, I just don't really want him, so I'm left with other horses, and maybe I was supposed to go to the 6 because he will be the biggest price of any of these.
He might be the longest shot on the board.
Yeah, that would be stupid by people. Because
Oh, I don't know where else.
can I bet you? Can we bet he beats? We're down to 120. Can we? I bet he beats the 6.
I'm not
The
betting
7?
he beats anyone. I'm just telling you he is the 6. And I'm just saying
No,
he's
you're
going to be the
probably
longest
right.
shot on the board.
It'll be between him and Frontline. Well, Frontline Dancer has Irad. I don't think
Irad and
Irad's
Todd.
allowed to be the longest shot. On the
Never
board.
happening.
If this race gets rained off the turf, where are you going here?
I am going with Sheriff Bianco. I will take the big fig on the dirt.
Okay, even though that's 6 furlongs to a mile.
Yeah. I know he's never stretched before. His pedigree tells me he's going to stretch just fine. So I will take Sheriff Bianco.
Okay, I like 6% over Prince of Pharaohs and Sheriff Bianco if it gets rained off. But I thought 6% was very, very interesting. His race 2 back was good, and I thought he was a real danger to win this race. I thought he'd prefer the distance. Race number 9, you know, it's just got a favorite dropping down, and we'll show you Swashbuckle's race 2 back. And I actually thought this horse did not run badly last time. I thought he got just a horrendous ride last time out. But I do think you have to wonder. He ran this big race here, the best race he ever ran. He comes back, and he gets a bad ride. Now, I think he got rained off up
That's
in
not
Saratoga.
Swashbuckle.
No, who are we showing there? What are we showing, guys?
Looks like a Shadwell horse.
What the heck is that? What are we showing?
No idea.
What race is that?
You send the wrong race number in, maybe? Could that
June
have happened?
4th, the 4th race. No? Guys, make sure.
It's not June 4th, the 4th race, buddy. You know that.
No, that is your.
That's all right.
You make a great point. You make a great point.
I was like, I don't think Swashbuckle ever ran on the dirt.
Thank you.
I don't know what that
Look at these
is. but
numbers. First time for a tag, turf sprints.
Those are fantastic.
I guess the reason it didn't bother me a great deal as they're dropping them is there's a 4-year-old gelding
What are you going to do with them?
and a 4-year-old year, a New York bred.
You're not taking them to Florida.
Well, he's also a homebred for Jump Sucker,
Yeah.
so it's not like they have a ton of money into him. And maybe they're just trying to win a race and move on from him. Purse is $45,000, so you get yourself about $25,000, and you just sort of move on. I can see it. He's going to get claimed, I assume. He seems like they have to line up to claim him. So worst I thought was a cinch to get claimed that didn't get claimed the other day. Can't even remember who it was, but it was odd. And the other thing is, there really isn't anywhere particularly
No.
enticing to go. I thought Town of Gold was the other horse in this race who would run against much better horses in the turf races that he was in. I wasn't a big fan of Vocalize, the horse you have second. I scratched into him.
This looked very chalky to me.
I think El Mayor is a little bit interesting. I could have
Cutting
bet,
back.
I bet $1 million to win $1 that David Aragona would pick him on top because he's going to get him home in a turf race if he dies trying. And I don't think he's totally ridiculous. His turf races aren't bad, but if Swashbuckler can run at all, and Christoph's numbers say, now, there's a funny horse in this race, and that's Science. We're going to show the last 1/8 of a mile of his race. At least I hope we are. And I mean, he's the one horse in this race from way back. I mean, this horse would have won this race and won this race by 2-3 lengths. I mean, he was completely and totally stopped for being way back early. The problem is, it was just a terrible race, and even if he didn't have that trouble and he won by 2 or 3 lengths, he runs a figure of 74 or 75, and I still don't think it's good enough to win. He's got no other races good enough. But I will tell you one thing: this horse's trouble last time was extremely
I
legit.
had a friend of mine call me and tell me to take a look at that race. I actually watched that replay, and yeah, I mean, but you're 100% right. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that's the best race of his life last time. He's still 3-4 lengths behind.
Very
and he
hard.
didn't- yeah, it's hard to make
The
him.
reality of
put him in the winner's
Swashbuckle
circle.
is he's so much faster than these other
Yep.
horses. And, you know, True Believe, steadied 4.5 squeeze back, baloney. Feel free to watch the replay and disagree. He was very, very mildly steady. It didn't really cost him anything. And the rider actually gave him a very good ride that day. And he really was just sucking up for second in a race where the fig is probably 6 or 7 points high to begin with.
I probably should have put him on the board just for the simple fact that that was his first turf race, and it was clearly the best race of his life.
Yeah, but he was running against bad horses, and Veterans Beach is not a good horse. I'm going to use a little 5 and 4 as backups, but I think the 6 is a pretty likely winner.
If it comes off, risk profile for you?
I mean, I'm not betting against risk profile. He was 3 wide, 2 to 3 wide against a gold rail last time out.
11-4 for me. I put Mail Mayor.
Same as you. Yeah, I didn't see anyone 11-4, 8-1. I just didn't see anybody. There's really very little dirt for him to go on in here, and risk profile probably win by default. But we'll hope that the rain holds off.
Rain, go away. I've had enough.
Looks like Gabby's berating Scott at Keeneland. I approve of that. I really do. That looks good. It's actually much better than it sounded. She looks like me. The hands are going, lecturing him, right?
They're really close together, too. If you ever got that close to me, I don't know how I'd react.
I might just
You might be in
give
trouble.
you a big kiss.
You might be-
Anyway,
you might be in
head
trouble.
over.
I might get you in more trouble, my
Naira
man.
Bets. You're pretty adorable. You're tough to resist.
I am adorable. I'm
Match
told that on a
200.
regular
Use the
basis.
promo code MATCH200. We'll match for $200 of your initial deposit. Head over to NairaBets.com if you're not a member. We've got a $15 bonus if you play 75 or more on Delaware and also Belmont at the Big A. Got to opt in over at Naira Bets. We've got the contest. You can only play this online. You have until 5 o'clock tomorrow to sign up. $300 buy-in. The pool will be seated with $2,000. And last, and some version of least, we have America's Day at the Races.
At her. I call it.
12:30
At
to
her.
5. coming up.
Roy's here.
Yeah, Roy's here. You know, I brought Roy PPs the other day, and he had left. He went home early, so he gets punished for
No
that.
half days here, Roy.
We're done. Johnny I is just getting started. He'll be up next to reprise Scratches and Changes. Thanks for watching.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.